You know, the worst thing that can happen to a parent is to lose a son or a daughter, and to lose two inside of 12 months. Absolute tragedy, devastating.
I served all those years. They'd seen me serve. They've moved around with us. They saw me go when I was in Germany. I went to the first Gulf War. They saw that. So they understood a little bit on some level. But sure, anytime your kids decide they want to go in the military, you worry.
Our son Kevin was a senior RTC cadet. He had a tender heart. He had such a tender heart. But Kevin hit a wall with depression, with the stress of RTC and pre-med. And he went on medication reluctantly and secretly.
Kevin never told Jeff or Melanie that he was on depression medication. They lived in the same apartment, and he never told them. I mean, that's how, I think, ashamed and embarrassed he was of it.
He tragically went off the medicine his senior year, and we lost him within days.
We knew he was sad, we just didn't know he could die from being too sad. We'll never get over not knowing. Like, how we didn't know? But we didn't know. When Kevin died, we were all just crushed in a mess and everything. And Jeffrey, he was selected as an armor officer, so he was going to go to Fort Knox, Kentucky to go to armor basic course. So the Army said, look, you don't have to go. We'll change your orders. You can stay here at Fort Knox. Jeff and I talked, and we went on a walk one evening, and Jeff and I didn't go for walks. And on the walk, he stopped me, and he looked at me in a way I've never seen my son look at me, and he said, you know, Dad, I've got to go. My men are waiting on me. I've got to go. As a father, I did not want him to go at all. But as a soldier, I understood why he said he had to go. He felt this is what I'm supposed to do. I emotionally told him, I said, okay, you go, but you take care of those men and you bring them all home. And he did a pretty good job. He didn't come home alive, and neither did Roger Lang from New York City. They both were killed in the explosion. The rest of those men made it home. So that was a tough walk.
Hardest thing I ever did in my life was to tell Mark Graham that he had lost his second son. As the commanding general at Fort Sill, he was my chief of staff, he was my soldier, and I felt it was my responsibility to be there at that moment for him. Can you imagine the burden and the heartbreak of Mark and Carol, and how in God's name can they survive? And the answer to that was their faith. And the family closed ranks and converged on them, the Army family.
I really, truly didn't think I would make it. I didn't think I'd make it through the first day.
We felt guilty, like, how can I be happy ever again? It took a long time to get to where I could even not be mad at myself if I laughed. You know, I'm not talking months, I'm talking a long time, well over a year or two.
I knew immediately that I needed help, and I was so grateful that I was able to get the care and the support, the love and support from our military family. I mean, we just were surrounded by so much love. So many beautiful things that people did that helped us heal. And they had their own stories of brokenness. And they had husbands deployed and sons deployed, and they were just wanting to be there. You realize there's so many other people that are struggling, and we had soldiers coming back tragically that were burned and amputees. If we could be there for them in a way they were all Jeffrey and Kevin, you know, that's what's kept us going, I think.
You know, the military seems huge to most individuals who've never served, but I have to tell you, when something bad happens, the military community gets really small really fast, and they wrap their arms around you. And between our own family, our blood family, and the military family, I don't know how we would have made it without them. We wouldn't have made it without them.
The military is a family. It's a family like no other.
As I was retired from the Army, I wanted to continue to give back in some way. Finally, I started realizing that I might be able to help others by speaking out. And it's hard every time. It's hard right now because you're my boys.
We thought if we can share our story and comfort other people, then we were going to do everything we could.
We don't want to lose any more. We don't want any more families to go through what we've gone through. If this helps one person to get help so that they don't take their own life, it's worth every bit of it. There are a lot of Kevins in this world that are struggling in silence because I think part of it's the stigma. People didn't understand mental health. Now I think more and more, the more we continue to speak about it, the more research, more and more people understand this is real.
Sometimes some soldiers find a way to contribute even in a bigger and more meaningful way upon leaving the Army's active duty service, and the Grahams certainly fit in that category. Unafraid to expose themselves, the vulnerability of losing a son to suicide, and then losing a second son to, an IED in Iraq, and yet not giving up and not just feeling sorry for themselves, but telling their story. I cannot express the pride I have for what Mark and Carol have done and what they continue to do for our soldiers today.